Okay, thank you everybody. Good afternoon from Malaysia, MyCite, and good afternoon, good morning to those who are in Europe, or very good morning to those who are from US, right? This is my presentations on festival. And I saw we also have some industry practitioners here in this room. So I'm trying to explain my case studies in a more layman term so that you understand what is it about, and not so much of academia, but more to sharing sections on a case study that I recently done. So this is the case on understand about inclusive development process via or using festival, and I adopted a case named Pango Island Festival, and I look into the entire process from the organizer perspective, from the lens of the festival organizer. So this is a case study extracted from a bigger projects called Project of Placemaking. And Dr. Nick has mentioned about placemaking, how important is it. So this is one of the case where I studied from is Pango Island. For those who are not Malaysians, this is where Pango Island is. So this is the whole peninsula of Malaysia, and Pango Island is somewhere around here. And to enlarge, this is the entire Pango Island. So it's about 3.5 hours from Kuala Lumpur, capital of Malaysia, to Pango Island. And in Pango Island itself, there is about 11,000 islanders, consists of Bumiputra. So Bumiputra are those Malay and also Aborigines who are staying in the island. And then we also have Chinese, Indians, and also some non-citizens. The non-citizens here referring to the foreign laborers who are helping out on the fishing industry. In this island, fishery is the major industry. And beside fisheries, there is actually, Pango Island is also a tourist destination since the British colonial time in the early of 20th century. All right, due to the scenic features that they have. Unfortunately, in the recent decades, Pango Island has been experiencing out migrations of the younger generations, meaning to say urban relocations. And the island now is become like what Dr. Nick has mentioned just now, urban relocations, and then aging populations is increasing. And then the young populations are moving out from the island because of the career opportunities, right? As I have mentioned, this island mainly focusing on fishery. And even though in those days, this was a very famous tourist destinations, unfortunately, in the recent decades, there are many other alternative destinations replace people to go to Pango Island. This is fun enough. Recently I have made a survey in my class. I have 55 students, young students, all right, and about less than 10% students know about where is Pango Island. So you can start imagining how running down is this island now. So I'm adopting a festival called Pango Island Festival. I'm not sure how many of the Malaysians out here know about this Pango Island Festival, but Pango Island Festival is the first island-based Chinese community cultural and arts festival in Malaysia. The first year started was in 2013. So it was from annually to after 3 years later, they started to change to biennially. So this is the reasons when I interviewed the locals, the organizer, they say because they want to ensure that the festival quality is there. So they don't want to do it annually. In fact, they want to plan it properly. So they do it 2 years once, right? And the core idea that started with this festival is about people. All right, they want to create the cohesion among the villages mainly they target on Chinese ethnic groups through arts. As I have mentioned, on this island, because of the young generations are moving out, and mainly are the elderly staying on the island, and the community is become incohesive, and they are not united as in those days. So then these people step in, the outsider, the organizers step in, and then the reasons they want to do it is because of the people there, and then they want to create cohesion among the villages through or using a platform as using festival as a platform. So the activities that having on the island during the festival include performances, exhibitions, forum, workshops, bazaar, parades, film screening, beach cleanings, and etc. So the pictures that you see down here is taken in 2019, just before a year before lockdown, right? And you can see that all the performers here are the villagers, the elderly. They were the ones who performed a play during the event, during the festival. But I want you to bear in mind in these pictures that you can see they are very happy, and then they perform a play together. But the latest findings I want to show you how actually organizers have went through the up and down until that they're able to reunion the whole community to organize the festival together, including able to persuade this elderly to stand on the stage and do the performance to the audiences. So this is one of the pictures of their performance from the elderly community. So why is this case study happen is that there are so many extensive studies have been done on the festival and social inclusiveness, but in Malaysia's context is very limited. So the objective here is to explore. Later, I will share with you about my findings to see the entire process of how an outsider step into a fishing village, and then what are the process that have been gone through until they're able to group the whole community and organize a festival together. So the process will be shown later on. The methodologies is qualitative, interviews and site observations, and content analysis. Let's move quickly to the findings that I find. The whole process of inclusive development have 5 phases here. The first, and you were able to see that my approach that I see from here is from top-down approach. Top-down approach means I see from the organizer, and the organizer is not the local, right? That's why it's a top-down approach. The organizer who started this festival is an outsider. This group of organizers that are not belongs to the local community. So they went into the island, they start to approach the peoples, and then this is why we call a top-down approach. If we make it the other way, bottom-up means it should be the festival started from the local community and then bring up to the governance level. But in this case, very special is that it's a top-down approach. Let's take a look on the phase 1. What were the challenges and some of the things that are faced by the organizer? So in the very first stage is establishing the relationship with the locals and exploring the local assets. In Malaysia, especially the Chinese fishing village, they have a very strong clan associations, or ancestor hall as the center. So there are the clan associations or the ancestor hall are the power structures to control the community. So when you as an outsider going into the community, it takes you a very long time to break the ice and penetrate and embrace by the people. So the first thing is to establish a relationship with the local. So at the same time, the organizer had to start to explore the local assets here, such as the value of the cultural assets, history and the myths, and some of the architects that defects that have been left behind since the history and etc. So this is what the quotes from the organizer. He said, before you enter a place, you need to know the power structures, and then clan associations is the more powerful institutions in a fishing village. So then after 2-3 years, it's entered to the phase 2. It takes him 2-3 years to enter the phase 2, where he started to involve the local to participate in the art creations and performance. From the very beginning, the locals are the bystanders. They do not do anything. They just stand there and see what you organizers do. All right. For them, this is none of my business. Right. So then after that, when they enter to phase 2, then it starts offering suggestions because the locals start to trust on them, and then they start to offer suggestions. They start to involve and get involved into the festival. And then the transitionals of the phase where organizers started to give power to the locals to suggest what they want to perform or what they want to display during the festival. And then followed by the third phase, then they started to promote to understand between disparate groups. Once the community accepts the organizer, all right, then the organizers started to give them more information by giving them some foreign cultures to let them know. For instance, the organizers started to bring in the Kalabit group from Malaysia, Sarawak, to make them understand that we also have other cultures in Malaysia that the Pango Islanders can embrace them. So then they started to appreciate the outsider. They started to open up more doors to let the outsider, to let other cultures and arts go into their festival and go into their community, right? And then come to cultivating awareness. So they started to not just focus on the festival, they want to use the festival to make awareness, especially on the social issues. In most of the fishing village in Malaysia, they always have this pollution issue, trash pollution issue from the sea. All right. So then they started to also embed some social issues to make the local understand that, you know what, your village, you have lots of environmental issues and pollutions. And then they started to put in some program. For instance, there is an artist from overseas. She went into the festival and then she jumped into the sea and started to collect all the trash. And this is a live performance to show the villagers that you see, you shouldn't throw the rubbish to the sea anymore. You have to love your environment and your place. So then the locals was amazed by the performance by these artists, and then they start to aware that they shouldn't throw the rubbish to the sea. Okay, and this is one of the examples where they start to cultivate awareness of the social issues. And then last but not least is about sustainability. To sustain the whole festival is not easy. From 2013 and of course 2011-12, they started to went into the place until towards 2019. To sustain the festival to continue, all right, it's not an easy process. So what they're going to do, what they had done in 2019 was they started to bring in overseas performers, especially they bring in island countries like Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and Macau to join this festival to make the local community include not just about within themselves, but also embrace the cultures from other countries. And they started to, for instance, they started to think about how they sustain the traditional wooden boat building technologies by exchange cultural knowledge with the rest of the countries and etc. So this is the entire process of how they establish from outsider until being embraced by the local, right? Of course, because of the time limitations, I only shows you part of the research here. In my full paper, I also will include about the opportunities of inclusive development, talking about cohesiveness and sense of belonging, revitalizations of the island, and restorations of the cultural value. And also we'll talk about the challenge of developing fishing village in Malaysia context. Of course, the future research, I hope that I also can see from the lens of bottom-up approach. I can interview more local to understand whether they really authentically, sincerely like the festival to be held in their place. Eventually, the island, they are the residents, right? I hope I'm still on time, and thank you. And